As promised, Tim Canova is on the line with us. He is a progressive candidate for Florida District 23. In the primary, he's challenging Debbie Wasserman Schultz. He's a professor of law and public finance at Nova Southeastern University, Shepherd Broad College of Law, and his website, timcanova, CANOVA.com. Of course, you can tweet him at Tim_Canova, just like Thom _Hartmann, the same kind of thing. Tim, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Thanks for joining us. You wrote a piece for the Huffington Post, and I wanted to get you on about this because this just totally astonished me. And I believe that we've reached out to Debbie Wasserman Schultz to come on the program and explain why she is co-sponsoring this amendment or legislation or whatever it is. You can explain it to us. If we haven't, we certainly will be today. Sean will be doing that today. But tell us, what's the story here? The headline on your piece over at Huffington Post was Debbie Wasserman Schultz shouldn't be welcoming loan sharks into the Democratic Party. What's going on?
Well, she's sponsoring legislation that is going to prevent the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau from regulating payday loans. And part of the reason is that Wasserman Schultz has accepted $68,000 from the payday loan industry in the last 10 years. So I think it's had a big influence on on her stance on this issue.
Seriously, I mean, that's $6,800 a year. That's chump change in political circles.
It's a pattern with her, it seems. It doesn't take that much to buy her, perhaps.
Or maybe they're just ideologically aligned, and that's why they're supporting her.
Well, that could be as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, let's not assume bribery.
Well, and that's to me, that's actually harder to believe. But I guess there are folks that ideologically believe in payday loans and payday lenders being unregulated.
Right. So this is Elizabeth Warren's baby, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and they're being attacked here in Washington, D.C. on the D.C. market on television. There's these continual attack ads on them. The Republicans have been trying to take this thing down forever. It was one of the things that came out of Dodd-Frank. What specifically is Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz suggesting or proposing?
It's a bill that's been introduced in the House that would amend the Truth in Lending Act, and it would essentially prohibit state regulators from regulating their own payday lenders. So preempting state efforts to regulate payday lenders and protect consumers. It's kind of astounding that so soon, really, after the Dodd-Frank Act. The Dodd-Frank Act was 2010, and here we are just a few years later, and this is a way to start gutting the act. I will say that the contributions that Wasserman Schultz received from the payday loan industry peaked in 2010. She received $28,000 in that election cycle, and on the one hand, she voted for the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform Act, which I applaud her for voting for the act that created this Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. But ever since then, she's been helping gut the agency, or trying to gut the agency in her votes. So it could be that they just saw the writing on the wall that Dodd-Frank was going to pass, and there was no sense in her trying to oppose it. She was taking a lot of money from the payday loan industry and from a lot of Wall Street banks at the same time. And maybe the plan the whole time was let it pass, but the devil's in the details. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has to write a lot of regulations to give teeth to this act. And that's where Congress would go after them, is to make it more difficult, if not impossible, for the new Bureau to write those regulations.
Right.
And I should say that Wasserman Schultz has done this before, not with payday loans. Well, she's done it with payday loans as well, but not too long ago she voted to prevent the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau from writing regulations dealing with racial discrimination in car loans.
Whoa. That's not good. So, as a candidate for Congress, specifically for Debbie Wasserman Schultz's seat in the primary, what would your position be? What would you be doing if you were in Congress, if you were sitting in her chair instead of being a law professor?
Sure. Well, Tom, I've had a long career of fighting Wall Street, and back in the 1980s, criticizing the deregulation of lending standards, which was really the beginning of the subprime industry and the lifting of usury caps. And ever since then, through the 90s and the 2000s, I've been both writing about it as a legal scholar and also active in lobbying efforts to try to reimpose some kind of sensible regulation, such as interest rate ceilings on payday lenders. So my position could not be more different from Wasserman Schultz's on this. And I got to tell you, when the news broke of this latest legislation that she's behind, it was just a gift to our campaign. She's one of the greatest helpers for our campaign.
Well, that's what's got me scratching my head is why would she do this now when, I mean, she's the head of the DNC, and the biggest hit on the Clinton campaign that, you know, she's been aggressively supporting, and I think she helped run back in 2008, or at least the Florida portion of it, has been how much money they're taking from the banks. This is, you know, Hillary released the transcripts, all this kind of stuff. It seems to me like if I was the head of the DNC and the candidate that I was not so covertly supporting was being attacked for being cozy with the banks, the last thing that I'd do is go out and get cozy with the banks in public. I don't understand it.
It's absolutely astounding. And, you know, also about a week or so ago, it was announced that her Democratic National Committee had reversed President Obama's 2008 ban on lobbyist contributions to the DNC.
Yeah, that also astonished me. Well, you know, why would they do that? I mean, this is the president of the United States, who's the head of the Democratic Party. I mean,
exactly.
Theoretically.
You know, I think it's just a raw political calculation that this will bring in a lot of money into their coffers. They will use the money to spin things and to distract voters from these types of issues. You know, they can talk about other types of issues that are, you know, distracting, and I'm sure they will. Wasserman Schultz is constantly talking about, you know, women's rights and pay equity and things like that, which I fully support. There's no difference between us on those issues, but that will try to distract voters away from these. I was going to say bread and butter issues, but it's also political corruption issues. It really goes to the very heart of what our democracy is about.
Yeah. It's, or at least the perception of corruption.
Absolutely. The perception of a conflict of interest, and it's so pervasive. And, you know, at some point you see that these lobbyists are always winning. And, you know, I guess it reinforces the perception. I guess unless there's a smoking gun and somebody testifying under oath that there's a quid pro quo, we can't call it corruption. But no, that really is what it's about.
Yeah.
It's a political system that has become corrupted. It's given undue influence and access.
I agree. I mean, I absolutely agree. Not specifically necessarily in this case, but broadly speaking, I absolutely. TimCanova.com is the website. To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.